Day 400. Day rating's a 7. It's a regular Monday. Trying to get back in the routine. Feel a little tired after the weekend. Pup was a little tired too. She was a little bit, I wouldn't say off today, but she wasn't as hyper. She had one little activity spurt where we were running outside in the afternoon. And then she came in and just sat back down on the couch and was ready to lay down. And I went for the trail run. Had a good time. Saw a couple of friends there. We went up a pretty difficult climb in the beginning, so that was a rough start. And it was the point where maybe like half the people, if not more, were walking at the pup camp. And so I was a little bit late, and so it was nice I saw him going up. I'm like, all right, let's get over there. So I had about a quarter mile to catch up to him. But it was tough. Even my legs were burning. I'm sure everyone else's legs have needed a little bit of a warm up before you just start this crazy. I don't say it's super crazy, but it's a good enough incline that it requires a little focus and some good fitness. But then it was all mostly downhill from there. Had some rolling hills. That was fine. Chatted with a few friends, and I was talking to my buddy Brandon again. He's like, yeah, I didn't know if you were going to make it. I'm like, yeah, I was just running a little late. He's like, yeah, I didn't see you. I'm like, oh, my bad, buddy. Then we talked for the next half, and then in the end we were chatting. And one of the lead guys, Steve, was there, and he was talking about him. He's like, hey, man, your music's pretty good. And so I forwarded your information to someone, so you might be getting a call. They might ask you to do something, I don't know. But I just thought if there's a chance that might happen, and if not, there's another group in Flagstaff and they do similar work, so you might, if there's a chance for you guys to meet and I'm there, I'm gonna introduce you guys, so just be prepared for that. He's like, cool, man, great, sounds good. That was really cool to hear. And 2 weeks in, he's already kind of he's networking. I mean, it's not what he's there for. He was just there to run, but good for him. That was really cool to hear. And yeah, then I had to add on a little bit. My watch was a little bit off, and we finished at, I don't know what we were at. Even though we might have just been over 3, and I wanted to get at least 5 on the watch, but the run was close to 4. I had to at least been close to 4 because I knew for at least the first third, my watch wasn't started. It wasn't keeping track of anything. And at another point, I had stopped it and started again. So I was like, oh my gosh. But I made sure to get in the 5 miles. That was good. I went to the grocery store, grabbed some food, and came back. Played with the pup a bit, took her for a walk, ate, showered, started watching Free Guy again. I was chatting with one of my friends, and they said, I'm gonna go to bed. I'm like, yeah, same here. I'm getting tired. It's 11:30, so it's kind of nice to get the video in and wind down before it just gets too late and I'm just too tired to do anything. But I finished the push-ups, did 150 today. I did 1 set of curls, but I did like the outside, middle, inside, so maybe 3 sets. I don't know if you want to count it, but I just count it as 1. And then I did a standing seated row with 55 pounds, so it's not a lot, but I just need to get my shoulders active again in the back. My core, not my core, but your core's kind of engaged while standing and pulling on the weight, but more of my back. Then I guess I wanted to talk about why I started this day 400, or I figured it's a good time to elaborate on after 400 days. And I'm still not 100% clear on it, but I know I I was in mentally a rough place, and I just needed something to change. I was telling myself I needed to be mentally stronger, physically stronger, and so that's what kind of came up with the reading. I still haven't been reading. I told myself in April I'd start reading again. We're 3 days in, 4 days in, I still haven't started. But we'll start later this week. We'll start for sure. And that was just to help give me a better mental component, which was kind of the reason. I don't say like self-help books, but for autobiographies and just more clarity, I think, for mentally, so I could get out of my own head. And physically, I definitely started running more. I believe in the past 40 days, I've only missed 1 day running. I'm hoping it doesn't jinx me for tomorrow, because I know tomorrow's a busy day. But I need to find a way to at least get a mile or two. So that was another factor. Physically, I wanted to get better, so that's why I started lifting more. I got the trainer. I tried to get in more runs. I mean, it kind of helped with having that group on Monday, group Wednesday, group Thursday. I would say Saturday too, but I've only met up with them once Saturday, so I don't know if I can call that once showing up on Saturday to me officially being in the Saturday group. And I think I needed to get out of my own head a bit to see how I was feeling. That was kind of the day rating scale. If I noticed what my daily activity was, and I kept having these low numbers, 3 or 4s and 5s, I could look at it and say, is this something I'm doing every day that I'm causing myself to be in this spot, or am I overthinking things? What do I need to adjust from here and get back in the 7s, 8s, 9s, and 10s? So that's what that was about. As far as documenting it, I guess I didn't know if I wanted to not know if I wanted to, but it would help me just say what's on my mind and try to help communicate more in a way, even if it was a little bit uncomfortable to talk about at times. It was almost like a journal, so I could see if I'm thinking about it constantly and I tend to talk about it more and more and more, then maybe I should address it. And maybe when I'm doing the video, sometimes your mind kind of spaces out and you're like, what was I supposed to talk about? I should have wrote it down. And sometimes I did. Sometimes I had it written down on the tablet, or I written down on the dry erase board. But when I spaced, it was the first thing that kind of came to my head was one of 2 or 3 things, or one of a few things. I'll just say it that way. And so obviously there was something there that I needed to address. Even if I was trying to cover it up, it kind of kept coming back. It's like, okay, I need to talk about it, or find a way to get over it, or find a way to move past, work through it, deal with it. So that was that. Just coming from a tough mental place where it felt like it should have gone away at a reasonable time, and it felt like I was going in waves. I was going forward 2 steps back, forward 2 steps back, forward 2 steps back. And sometimes it felt like I was just going backwards. It just didn't feel like I was making progress. But I noticed if I kept busy, I could kind of deal with it in smaller amounts instead of it just all at once. It hit me. If I gave myself too much time to think and had a free day, I would just think about it and dwell on it and dwell on it. I wasn't taking any action. So at least with running and lifting a weird way, you kind of think when you're out of air and you're tired and fatigued, like what means the most to me, right? So when you're running and you're running hard, you're just thinking about breathing, breathing, breathing. Don't pass out, that kind of a thing. So it's your basic needs, right? Making sure those are met. And so that's what's kind of the theory behind this was I kept working out. Maybe I could, like, I know there's always stress there, and there's always stress that's gonna be there, and some stuff you're gonna be able to get over in a day or two because it's just so insignificant, and you're either in your own head or just tired, or it's just so small and insignificant that you don't need to worry about it. And other things, you find out that you're gonna think about it again and again and again, and you can't just keep brushing it off. You have to at some point deal with it and say, here's the situation, here it is, and here it, I guess address it as kind of how David Goggins was saying, look in the mirror, if it's you, be honest with yourself and tell yourself what it is in the mirror that you see and what do you want to change. If you start lying to yourself, you're not going to get the best results. And it's the same with dealing with situations. If you overthink it, or if you over emphasize on it, you're probably not going to be able to deal with it as much. It might be overwhelming, but if you look at it, the situation as it is and not more than it is, you can start to work through it. And so with exercising, I was kind of able to brush off the small things, and the big things were there. It's like, okay, this is affecting me. This relationship is or isn't working. This person in my life is or isn't there anymore. And this idea is no longer there. So how do I deal with it? How do I move on? Even can you move on? It just seemed like I was stuck in a rut. And so I needed something to change. And that was the thought process behind everything. That's believed helped me get through a lot of it. I'm sure there's still issues there. It's a big scar. And that can always be there, right? It's always gonna be like this keloid I have on my shoulder from an accident, and it's it's not as significant anymore, but it's just I've had it for almost 12 years now, and it doesn't hurt, but I know it's there. I know at some point, sometimes during the day, I'll just be sitting here like this, kind of massaging it or pressing it down. I don't know, just I notice that it's there, even though it doesn't bother me. It doesn't itch. It doesn't ache. But it's still a part of me right there. That makes sense in a weird way. Yeah. That's where the whole thing was. I thought I'd only do it for a year to see where I was going, see how far I'd get. And yeah, I think I would look back at it and say there's improvements here and there. Is it as far as I wanted to be? Maybe a little bit shy, but it's one of those things I didn't want to wait and say, oh, I should have started this earlier, should have done this later. I just said, just start it and see what happens. I try to have a little fun with it, but it'll help keep you honest. And here we are at day 400. It's almost become a little bit of a routine. I thought I'd take a break by now, or stop, or do every other day, and maybe do like a weekly recap. But still going, still talking about the run, the trails, the groups, the random things that come along and happen. Yeah, but that's the day. So I'm gonna call it a night there. and see what tomorrow brings. So, thank you for your time and run your life with health and happiness, and have a good night.